Okay, today we're learning Shabbat Daf Lamed Bet. I would have to say it's a quite difficult daf, not difficult in terms of getting through the material, difficult in terms of swallowing what the material is. Today's shir is dedicated by Mona and David Schwartz and their family in memory of Mary Horowitz, Miriam Etzel Bat Aharon HaLevi Zichronah Livracha, for her 26th year at Okay, so can people hear me? Okay, people hear. Okay, we're starting with a very difficult Mishnah, which is a probably familiar Mishnah to many of you. Starting at the bottom of Lamed Aleph on the bed. Al shalosh averot nashim meitot b'shat leidatan. Okay, there's three sins upon which women die in childbirth. Al she'enan zihirot b'nida, b'chala, u'b'hadlakat haner. Because they're not careful about three mitzvot: nida, chala, and lighting candles. Okay. What is unique about these? There's a lot of issues with this. Number one, why are they dying in childbirth because of these things? Why specifically these things? Again, I think this needs to be understood in the context of their life. Many women died in childbirth in those days. It was very, very common. Now it's much less common, thank God. But many women died in childbirth. It was a very dangerous activity. We're going to event. We're going to see that the Gemara is going to connect this to all sorts of other times of danger. When one enters a dangerous situation, that's when they're the most vulnerable. That's going to be the beginning of the theme of the Gemara, that people are vulnerable when they enter dangerous situations. And that's a time when God might start judging you. Well, are you worthy to be saved or are you not worthy to be saved? So that's one thing that's going to come up here. The question is, why these three? These three, right, are considered women's mitzvot, right? We know Hafashot Chala are done by women, and there's always discussions. These are women's mitzvot, Hadlakat Haner. Okay, this is something that I don't think we've discussed enough, but that it's not so clear that Hadlakat Haner is specifically only for women, right? Men can light candles also, particularly men who live alone do light Shabbat candles. Why is this mitzvah specifically attributed to women? And also chala is not something only women do, right? Men are mafresh chala also. Nida is obviously women related, right? The woman affect. Now, the interesting thing about all these three things is that they all affect other people. And they actually sound very similar if you compare it to the Mishnah in Ketubot, which talks about another interesting Mishnah where it says, for these reasons, a husband can divorce his wife without giving her the Ketubah money that she was committed. So two of the things there match two of the things here, which is if she sleeps with him while she's in Nida, and presumably doesn't tell him, and she feeds him food that's not Meiser, she didn't take the Trumot Masrot from. So what's interesting here is you have these situations, and I think a common theme is these three things. Let's start with, I think it's more clear in Nida and Chala, and then we'll connect it to Hadlakat Haner. There are things that the woman is kind of responsible for, and her acts affect other people. If she doesn't take challah, now, and she can also trick other people. People don't necessarily know. The husband might not know the woman's in nida. He might not know that she didn't take challah, and then he ends up eating the food, or the whole family ends up eating the food, and she hadn't actually done the mitzvot, and it was forbidden for them. So it's a kind of place where a woman has the capability of not doing something and not telling anybody and sort of tricking them, and that's why she loses her ketubah, because it's considered a breach of contract. So, how does Hadlakat Haner connect with this? So if you assume that the woman is the one lighting the candle, because generally the woman was the one lighting the candles, even though it's not necessarily, some of the sources connected, it's a woman's mitzvah, it's specifically to atone for the sin of Chava, and they connect. In the Midrash world, there's a connection. Some people say it's because the woman is generally doing the chores in the house, and therefore that's why she's ending up doing the Hadlakat Haner, especially if we view Hadlakat Haner, like we said before, as we just need light in the house, right? It's something that's necessary to make sure there's light in the house, so therefore she's the one responsible for it. Now let's say, okay, where did we end with our previous sugya? It was all about Ben Hashmashot. So Ben Hashmashot, what did we say? The last thing you do is you light the candle, right? Before Ben Hashmashot, right? Isartem, Eravtem, and then Hadliku Haner. Now's the time to light. So what's interesting here, I think, is that you end up with this situation where the woman theoretically could miss the opportunity to light candles. Has this ever happened to you where, you're late and then almost you realize, it could be almost time. I might have missed the time. And theoretically, she could forget to light the candles in time. She's busy getting things together and she pushes it off. She could miss the opportunity, and that's going to affect everybody in the house. There's going to be no light in the house. So these are areas where the woman has responsibility toward others. It's not a personal mitzvah. It's a mitzvah that affects other people. And because of that, I think the Mishnah puts these in the limelight, as these are the women's mitzvot, where she has control over things that can affect others. Why it is that they die in childbirth over this, now that's a whole separate thing, and this is going to be something that we're going to have to struggle with through this page, which is generally, if a rabbi today, which we do see this happens, like with this virus, so people are saying, oh, it's because people aren't doing this mitzvah, or people aren't doing that mitzvah. And when we hear that kind of thing, we kind of cringe and say, who are we to play God? We don't know why God is bringing it. We don't know why, what's happening. We don't know what the reason is, even though we believe that there's something called sachar va'onesh. We don't know what's the sachar and what onesh we're being punished for. And when a rabbi gets up and says that, we kind of say, how could you say that? But that's exactly what the rabbis here are doing. And in a sense, I was thinking that maybe we can, be dan l'chafschut, the rabbis who say these things, that they're being just like the rabbis in the Gemara. Now and not in a negative way, in a positive way. What were the rabbis doing? They didn't really think that this is why women were dying necessarily, or it's not like they said, we know this is why. But they're trying to look around. They see something that they can't understand, that they see, wow, God is killing, a lot of women are dying in childbirth. How can we explain this? But more than how can we explain this? So number one is trying to come up with a reason so that we can kind of function and say, oh, if there's a reason, we can kind of deal with it. But I think more than finding a reason, because I find it difficult to say, oh, that's the reason. But I think the issue is that they want to use it as an opportunity to get people to do things, right? We've talked about this before, the scare tactics. And if we scare you into doing mitzvot, that's part of the way to get you to do mitzvot. And that was one of the methods they used. So again, the rabbis who say things today, it's not that they necessarily believe, I hope that they believe that they know how God works, but it's that they think that this is a good opportunity to get their community to be more careful about certain things. So they say it in a way to encourage people. Now, unfortunately, again, in their community, maybe that language works. To some people outside their community, that language doesn't really work so well. But that's the idea here, that the rabbis in their lingo, this is how they speak. They speak by saying, this happens because of that, and that really means keep these mitzvot. And we're going to see, especially toward the end of the daf, they're going to have a whole thing about, if you keep this mitzvah, it will be good for you. If you don't, it will be bad for you. But really kind of trying to say, this is, you should really keep these mitzvot, it's important. Okay, and particularly, again, why these? So again, Hadlakat Ner, we've talked about, has special importance, right? We mentioned that already in the past, that it's really considered a very important mitzvah. The Ner of Adam is Karoi Ner, right? The Neshama of Adam is Karoi Ner, and it's very significant, maybe because of its significance, or like we said, maybe because the Nidah and Chala, right? These are all very important mitzvot, but again, you can rank all sorts of mitzvot, but maybe again, because there are ways where a woman could do something, not tell anybody, right? She could not be keeping the mitzvah, not telling anyone, and affecting others. So maybe that's also why, which is interesting, they pick also lay down, where she's also affecting others. It's an act in which she's actually affecting her children, right? And here she's kind of messing up her children by feeding people food that's not meistered, or sleeping with her husband when he's in nida, and so therefore maybe that's also connected to why she's dying in childbirth. Okay, again, I don't have all the answers to this. It's a difficult sugya to accept. The whole daf is going to be along those lines even. So prepare yourselves. Like I said, the weekly vlog, Daf Mishelanu, discusses this issue, and also there's a new parak in Hebrew on Gefet from the Rashi Yeshiva Drisha, which is more on the end about tzitzit, which we'll get to later on the Tosfot at the end of the daf. Okay, so now Nida, my time. So the Gemara says, why Nida? Amar Rabbi Yitzchak, ki kilkala b'chedrei bitna, lefichach tarkeh b'chedrei bitna. She messed something up relating to her womb, by having sex with her husband when she was in Nida. Therefore, therefore she's going to be punished specifically by her womb. So Tinach Nida, okay, we get that one. What about them? Like this, a certain person from the Galil said, we said to Rav Chisda, Amar Kadosh Baruch Hu, God said, Revi'it dam natati bachem. I gave you blood to flow in your body. Al iskei dam izharti etchem. And I warned you to keep with the laws about dam, meaning nida. Reshit karati etchem. I called you Reshit. This is a pasuk from Yirmiyahu. Rashi quotes it. You're the beginning, the first of my produce, really referring to as a metaphor for the people. Al iskei Reshit izharti etchem. And therefore, I warned you about things that come first, meaning the Trumot Masot. Nishama netati bachem kruya ner. The soul of a person is called ner. Al iskei ner izharti etchem. And therefore, I warned you about things having to do with the candle. Im atem mekayim otam mutav v'im lav hareini notel nishmatchem. So if you keep these things, right, these are all things that connect me to you. So if you keep them, then great. If you don't keep them, well, I'm going to take away your neshama. Why specifically, though, during birth? So here we're going to get to when a person is vulnerable, that's when God judges someone, okay? And we're going to have a bunch of adages about this, things that people generally say. If the shore falls, if an ox falls, go sharpen your knife. That's the best time to shecht him, right? When a person's weak, that's when the best time to get the person is, right? So likewise, here we have this with an animal. Abai amar tafish tiros amata b'chad machatra lihave. Okay, tafish is tarbeh, if she has a lot of. Okay, if you have a maidservant who really doesn't listen to you, okay, she rebels a lot, then b'chad machatra lihave. I'm going to hit her like chutra from Chad Gadya, right, the stick. You're going to get hit once. She's going to get hit once. She's going to get punished. But this is like the opposite of what they say when you get punished in class and your teacher says, you've done this so many times. And you say, well, why didn't you warn me, right? You should have punished me small. Why are you giving me this one big punishment? But that's what they're saying. One, right, kind of things build up, and maybe that's actually a good example, right? A teacher might let things go for a while, but once it gets to a certain point, that's when then the teacher gets super angry and then gets you for everything. So things happen kind of in one makkah. And that's going to happen when you're the most vulnerable. Rav Chisda amar shavke l'ravya d'minafshe nafil. Leave alone a drunk person. Don't try to punish them or anything because they're going to kind of cause their own downfall. Mar ukva amar raya chagra. The shepherd is crippled. The izim ize rihatan. The sheep are running. Abab. Okay, so he can't get them because he's crippled and he's running after them and he can't ever reach them. But when they get to the gate, he speaks to them, and when they're in the pen, that's when he gives them their cheshbon. In other words, while he tries to chase them and he can't always get them, they're hard to get to. But when he finally has them, then he's able to kind of rebuke them. Rav Papa Amar, Abav Chanvata Nefishe Ache Umarachme. Here's another one. And all these ideas are slightly different, but they all kind of lead to the same concept. When someone has a lot of prosperity, this is by the door of the store, when someone sells a lot of things. Nefishe Ache Umarachme. He has a lot of brothers. When someone's prosperous, everybody likes that person and they hang out with them, and you have a lot of brothers. Everyone calls themselves my brother, and you have a lot of merachamim, people who, here it doesn't mean who have pity on you, it means people who like you. But abad bizione, but when you're in a disgraced position, lo ache v'lo merachme, right? People kind of stay away from you. So again, this is when you don't have, what is this? This is talking about when you're in a place of sakana, or you're not in a good place, then all the people who help support you, and here they're kind of referring probably to angels who will go out to bat for you, well, they're no longer there. The Gavre, now they ask the good question, which is, okay, this was about women, right? This is all, right, when we all look at this and say, oh, women, right, where are the men in this? Well, the men are actually in this also. They have their own sources. Where did they get attacked? When they cross over a bridge, right, they don't have anything necessarily. The women have something that happens to them kind of, for women who give birth, right, many women give birth, so therefore there's something in their lives that we can say, oh, it's when they give birth. For men, we don't exactly have it like that. I was actually surprised they don't say when they go out to war, because if you think about the most dangerous thing for men is fighting in wars that was going on a lot. So you wonder why they didn't say that, but they say when he goes over a bridge. So they say gesher v'tulo, what, there's nothing else, just going over a bridge. Ema ke'en gesher. Well, anything that's like going on a bridge, anything that's potentially dangerous. Now we're going to have different things that rabbis did, different approaches. Rav lo avar b'mavra diyeted be'akum. Okay, this is again, the rabbi's trying to figure out how is God going to get me. So he says, I won't go on a ferry that has an akum, a non-Jewish person. Amar dilma mipaki ledina ale umitpisna behadeh. Maybe the non-Jew, it will come his time of reckoning while he's on this ferry. He has sins and he'll get killed and I'll be, what will happen? Well, the ferry will drown because of him and I'll be with him. So I'm not going to go on a ferry with a non-Jew for that reason. Shmuel had a different approach. He said, no, I'm going to go specifically with a non-Jew. Why? Amar, the Satan doesn't come if there's two different nations. He won't judge two different nations at the same time. Only one nation at a time. Again, this is always, you can see clearly the Gemara is even putting these all together to say nobody really knows how God works, right? You can almost see it. It's like underlying what's going on here. Rabbi Yanai Badik Va'avar. Here's the third approach. He would check the ferry to make sure it was good, okay? And then, if it was good and everything looks safe, then he'd go on it. Rabbi Yana Litane, he goes according to his shita. Ta'amar la'olam, he said in another place, la'olam yamor adam b'mkom sakana, lo'mar she'osim lo nes. Don't put yourself in a dangerous position and say, oh, I'm going to get saved. Shema enosim lo nes. Maybe a miracle won't happen to you. And even if a miracle does happen to you, that's also not good. Why? It's going to take away, right? You have X amount of merits, and every time a miracle happens, it kind of depletes your supply, and you don't want to do that. So, number one, you can't rely on a miracle. You don't know when God's going to bring a miracle. And number two, even if you are going to get a miracle, well, you're going to have to pay the price for it later on. Amarav Chani, my crowd, where do we learn this from? Famous pasuk, Katanti mikol chasadim mikol ha'emet. This is Yaakov Avinu. When he goes to visit Esav, he says, right, I'm katanti because of all the chasadim that you've done to me already. I already have less merits and maybe won't merit, surviving this. Rabbi Zera b'yoma deshota lo nafik lebeinei dikla. If the south wind was around that day, he wouldn't go near the palm trees. Okay, I guess maybe they was scared they would fall on him. Amar Rabbi Yitzchak Berei de Rabbi Yehuda La'olam Yibakesh Adam Rachamim Shelo Yechaleh. You should always ask for mercy that you don't become sick. She'im Yechaleh Omrim Lo Havei Zchut B'Yipater. Because if you get sick, what will they say? Again, when you're sick, that's when you get up to judgment, and then you have to prove yourself. You have to bring your own zchuyot. And then if you have enough merits, well, then you'll survive. If not, you won't. Amar Maruch V'Mai Ka'ah. Again, I have to just preface this by saying these are very difficult. It's a very difficult stuff to be learning, specifically we're going through right now with so many sick people, and I just find it hard to learn and especially to teach this stuff in a time like this, because again, I don't think this was meant to be taken literally, and that everyone who's sick is being punished directly, and it's hard to understand it that way. Amar Upa Mikra, where do we learn this from? That when you're sick, that's when you're basically asked to be stand reckoning before God. Ki yipol hanofel mimenu. This is the pasuk about putting up a ma'akeh, what's the word? Like a fence, or on your rooftops so that people don't fall. And there it says something very interesting. It says ki yipol hanofel mimenu, right? If the faller falls from it. Now you would say if a person falls, right, you'll be responsible. But here it says hanofel. So we're going to talk about a few things here. And it says mimenu. So they darshan the word mimenu. Mimenu lahavi ra'aya. That it's on that person to bring when he falls, he's going to be sick, or right? As he's falling, he's going to need to bring proof that he's worthy of surviving this fall. Tana de Rabbi Yishmael, they have a different way of darshaning it. Ki pol hanofel mimenu ra'oi ze lipol mishesh imei breishi. If you don't put up a fence on your roof, and somebody falls, well, he was supposed to fall, meaning that it's your fault for the fact that he fell, but he was obviously someone who God thought should have been punished anyway, okay? And they even say, it's a bit of an exaggeration, right? But it was kind of decreed from Sheshet Mei Bereshit, this person already, right, from really means from before you didn't put up this ma'akeh, he already had something that caused him, that he was going to have to fall from this. Shahare lo nafal. How do we know this? Well, he hasn't yet fallen. Hakatuv kra'o nofel, but the pasuk calls him the nofel, even though he hasn't yet fallen. So they mean that this person has already fallen, meaning he's done something wrong, and that's why. This is very similar, okay? And it says, we bring good things to people who are worthy of good, and we bring bad things to people who are worthy of bad. This is like by Ir Miklav, when we talk about the Rotzach B'Shogeg, someone who kills someone accidentally. The pasuk says, "V'Elohim inal liyado," which they darshan to explain that, well, if you kill someone accidentally, or if you kill someone on purpose and don't get punished for it, you'll get punished by the fact that you'll be the person who the accidental killer kills accidentally. Right? And whoever gets killed accidentally, it's not really accidental, but he was worthy of being killed. Likewise, this person who falls from your ma'akeh, and that's why he's called the nofel. Tana Rabbanit. Someone who is sick and is about to die, even if it wasn't because you're being punished, you should do vidoy upon your death. Because everybody who's getting killed by the Beit Din is supposed to do vidoy, and therefore you should view your death as if you're getting killed by the Beit Din above. Adam yotzeh l'shuk yihi domeh be'einav k'mishanim sar l'sardio. Okay, this is like we talked about the ma'avoret going on the ferry. Likewise, you go out into the shuk, there's a lot of fighting between people in the shuk, business fights, things like that. You should view yourself as if you're being handed over to a soldier. Okay, meaning be very careful how you behave because that's, again, a place of sakana. If we talk about where there's sakanot, if things happening and you're getting involved in not good things. Likewise, chash b'rosho, someone who has a headache. Imagine it as if you're getting punished by, this was something the Romans did, they would hang people this way. Okay, if you go up into bed and then you fall off your bed, you should view yourself as if you were hung in the gallows, or you were going to be taken to the gallows to be judged. Lidon. Because everybody really gets to the gallows to be judged. And the issue is just, do you have good lawyers? That's what they're basically saying. Okay, do you have good lawyers? If you have good lawyers who are going to stand by your side, or advocates is maybe the better word here, then you'll be saved. If not, you're not going to be saved. Okay, who are these advocates? Tshuva u'masim tovim. Okay, doing tshuva and good deeds, repentance and good deeds. This is what will protect you from all these dangerous things. Now they're going to show the positive side, which is even if 999 angels are batting against you and saying all these things you did badly, if one comes to you to save you, to say something good that you did, and this basically saying, try to do any good deed, because any good deed can potentially save you. If you have one angel on your side, you'll be saved. How do we know this? Shene'emar, pasuk from Eov, Im yesh alav malach melitz echad mini aleph, la'agid la'adam yishro v'yichunenu v'yomar p'da'eu mi'redet shachar. If you have one malach, one angel who's advocating for you from 1,000 to say that you were going in a straight path, and you will be saved p'da'uhu mi'redet shachar, from going down to the depths. Rabbi Elazar ben Osher, Rabbi Yossi HaGlili, he had a different way of translating this pasuk, or darshaning it. Omer afilu chameot v'tish'im v'tisha ba'oto malach l'chova. Even if one malach says 990 things, 99 bad things that you did, but he says, oh, but this guy did one thing. In other words, not that there's 999 angels versus one. If the one angel is saying all these bad things about you, but he's got one good thing to say about you, nitzol. Shenemar melitz echad mini aleph. Melitz could be a melitz as a person. It could also be a claim. One good claim can save you. Tanu Rabbanit. Now we're going to have two different versions of what we had in our Mishnah. Okay, two different opinions. Tanu Rabbanit. Shalosh averot nashim metot yodot. That's the same as our Mishnah, while they're giving birth. Rabbi Elazar omer nashim metot yiladot. Different version is they die young. Okay, this isn't that they die in childbirth, it's that they die young. Okay, Rabbi Acha omer ba'avon shemechabsot so'at b'nehem b'Shabbat v'yeshomrim al shekorim ha'aron ha'kodesh arna. Okay, two other ones mentioned here which don't really fit the category of our Mishnah, which is, okay, this is an interesting one. The women wash the diapers, right? Think about cloth diapers in those days. They would wash them on Shabbat, and that's forbidden to do. You can't do that on Shabbat. Again, they might say, well, this is my job as mother, I'm in charge of the house, but there's God, and that's more important, and there's Shabbat, and you can't do that on Shabbat. And some people say they call the Aron Kodesh the Aron. They don't treat it with the right amount of respect. I think both these things aren't really respecting God enough, right? They're saying my needs are more important, right? With the So'ah, and you can imagine why they would want to wash their diapers out on Shabbat. And the Aron is just saying, oh, this, there's the Aron of God and there's my Aron, and they're all kind of one and the same. Tanya, Rabbi Yishmael ben Elazar Omer, but Avon, okay, we're basically bringing other Tanaitic sources that talked about other things, right? Because again, nobody really knew, so there's different approaches going on about this. Rabbi Yishmael ben Elazar Omer, but Avon shnei dvarim amei ha'aratzot mitim. Okay, now we're going to, since we got about onto this Aron, now we're talking not about women specifically. These are other things. Okay, so amei ha'aratzot die, regular people die, right? People who aren't careful about things. Again, because they don't treat the Aron Kodesh with the proper respect. They call the Beit HaKnesset a Beit Am. It's interesting, we have all these Batei Am in Israel, right? They call it a Beit Am, which is a place where people gather, but it's not a place where people gather for religious purposes. Tanya, Rabbi Yossi Omer, Shlosha bidkei mita nivru b'isha, v'amar le shlosha divkei mita. Okay, there's three things that check people, right? To check to see, are you worthy of dying or not? This is like what we said at the time of childbirth, when you're already in a time of danger. Well, they're going to check you. Do you have enough zchuyot to get you out of this situation or not? And then there's three things, which a different version is, there's three things that death clings to you. Okay, so now they say, what are the three? The same one, nidah, chala, v'hadlakat haner, chadek Rabbi Elazar, v'chadek Rabbanan. One was like Rabbi Elazar, one like Rabbanan. Who's Rabbi Elazar and Rabbanan? They're the ones who came and said, Rabbanan said it's yoldot, and Rabbi Elazar said it's yiladot. Okay, if you say div kemita, that's death clings to you, that's going to be yiladot. You're going to die young. If it's yoldot, well, then it's going to be bid kemita, because while you're in childbirth, then that's when the sakana is there, and that's when you're going to be checked and tested. Tanya, Rashba Gomer, Hilchot Hekdesh Shchomot Umasrot, Hen Gufei Torah. Okay, now we're going to talk about the significance of mitzvot, which mitzvot are more important than other mitzvot. So he says the laws of Hekdesh, by the way, this is similar to the ones in our Mishnah. Hekdesh is when you sanctify something. And one of the issues of sanctifying something is once it's sanctified, no one's allowed to benefit from it. And the din of mi'ilah is misuse of consecrated property. That's a law that relates to someone accidentally misusing, not knowing it was Hekdesh or not remembering. Now, Hekdesh is another one of those things that if I make something sanctified but I don't tell anybody, well, then people will end up using it, and I'll be ending up causing people to do things that are wrong. So Hekdesh, Trumot, and Masrot, Hein Gufei Torah. These are the very important things of Torah. V'nimseru la'amei ha'aretz. Okay, and they were given to Amei ha'aretz. Is a very interesting line. What does this mean? It means that it wasn't given. You might have thought they put this in the hands of the courts to make sure and enforce them all the time. No. People were trusted to do these things on their own. God gave them. This is like saying, right, I invest you with a lot of trust, and therefore I assume you're going to keep to them. What's interesting is that the Masrot, we know the Amei ha'aretz were suspect that they didn't do Masrot. But this sugya seems to be saying it was given to them and people are trusted about this. Tanya, another brayta. Rabbi Natan Omer, ba'avon nedarim meta isha shel adam. By the way, the fact that we don't trust Amei ha'aretz is only a later thing, and we already talked about that. It was a matter, it wasn't later than the Tanaitic time period, but from the Torah, they're trusted. It's only by the rabbis instituted. We shouldn't trust them. And then even some rabbis say most of them actually do it, just some of them don't, and we should be worried about it. But theoretically, it could be that this was before or this was a different approach. Tanya, Rabbi Natan Omer, ba'avon nedarim meta isha shel adam. We're now going to get into, okay, until now, we've basically been talking about your sins will cause your own death. Now we're going to talk about how your sins can cause the death of others. This gets an even much more complicated sugya, right? That people will die for the sins of others. So now we're going to say, Meta isha shel adam. So if a husband doesn't keep his nidarim, his vows, his wife may die from that. Where do we get it from? We get it from a pasuk in Mishlei. Im ein lecha l'shalem, lama yikach mishkabcha mitachtecha. If you don't pay up your neder, your promise, your commitment, why would it, you don't want your mishkabcha to be taken from you. And that's the one you sleep with, that's your wife. Rabbi Omer, ba'avon nidarim be'anim meitim kashehem ktanim. Your sons will die young. Shneimar, al titen et picha lachti et besarecha, va'al tomar lefnei hamalach hishkadahi, lama yiktzot Elohim al kolecha, v'chibel et maaseh yadecha. Okay, this is a pasuk from Kohelet, which is, don't have your mouth cause your body to sin, and don't say before the malach it was just a mistake. Why do you want God to get upset al kolecha, by things that you express, meaning your vows? V'chibel, and he will attack ma'aseh yadecha. Ve'ezehem ma'aseh yadav shel adam. What are the ma'aseh yadav of Adam? The things that you create. Ve'omer banav u'banotav shel adam. Okay, these are your children. Ma'aseh yadav could also be things you work for, right? But here, there's understanding it to mean your children. And there you have a pasuk where they're trying to prove that by you're not keeping your neder. And this is, again, it's another way of saying, if you're going to say something, take what you say very seriously. This could be also why nedarim. So one of the reasons is it could be that they, first of all, we'll see when we get to Masechet Nedarim, that they didn't like people to take nedarim. It was very frowned upon, number one. And number two, I think people think, oh, I just said it. Saying something isn't so significant. And they want people to say, no. What you say, you have to take very seriously. Tanu Rabbanan. And notice, by the way, they say it's not just banav, but banav ubanotav shel adam. Tanu Rabbanan, right, for all those cases, they always talk about the Yeled Zachar. Here they mention the girls also. Tanu Rabbanan. Ba'avon nidarim banim metim. Divrei Rabbi Lezer Rabbi Shimon. Rabbi Yehuda Nasi Omer. Okay, we're going to have the same structure now. We're going to start with one topic, which is nidarim. Then we're going to say, well, there's machloket between two people. One says nidarim, one says bitul Torah. Okay, then the next one's going to start with, one says bitul Torah and one says something else. And the next one's going to start with the last one, and then that one and something else. So we're going to have a whole list of possible things. Again, this was a phenomenon that people saw, that children died young. And as we all know, that's a phenomenon that no one understands how that could be. And this is the way the rabbis, again, either trying to find understanding, to try to come up with a way to understand some phenomenon that they don't really understand, especially if you understand Sachar va'onesh, then we assume that sons are dying for onashim, for things they did wrong. And if you see young children dying, well, they can't be blamed for sins if they're so young. So all the more so, it's a mystery. And number two, they're trying to, again, use this as an opportunity to tell people which are the mitzvot that we really want you to keep, and you should be very cautious of that. And then you have to wonder why they chose specifically this mitzvah. So, okay, so Rabbi Yehuda HaNasi here says, "Ba'avon bitul Torah." So, Bishlam alaman davar ba'avon nidarim kidamaran. We already explained that one. Ela laman damar ba'avon bitul Torah. Mai ka'a. Where do we get that from a verse? Dichtiv lashav hiketi et benechem musar lo lakachu. So this is a pasuk. Okay, it's a pasuk from Yirmiyahu, and it's saying lashav hiketi et benechem. You think I took your children for no reason? The reason I didn't is because musar lo lakachu, because they didn't learn Torah. So here you have, right, that not learning Torah. Rav Nachman bar Yitzchak amar, Lamanta amar ba'avon nidarim nami behacha. Rav Nachman bar Yitzchak says, actually, that pasuk could teach you the avon nidarim. Why? Lashav hiketi et benchem. What does it mean, lashav? Don't read it as a question. Lashav, because of shav. Shav is things that people do for, right, with al iske shav, which means you took a neder for no reason because you didn't fulfill it. Okay. Michti Rabbi Yehuda HaNasi, Hainu Rebbe. And we know that Rabbi Yehuda HaNasi was Rebbe. Well, we have a problem now between the two sugiyot we just quoted. Rebbe said, Ba'avon nidarim ka'amal. And Rabbi Yehuda HaNasi here is quoted as saying, it's bitul Torah. So which one is it, right? Rabbi Yehuda HaNasi in the first source said, it's avon nidarim. And here he says, it's bitul Torah. But he's the same person. So how could he say two different things? So they say, Batar Desham Melez Rabbi Shimon, Rabbi Ba'avon nidarim ka'amar, Batar Deshama Rabbi Lezer Rabbi Shimon. That's what Rabbi Lezer Rabbi Shimon said, Ba'avon nidarim. After that, Rabbi Yehuda HaNasi, first he had this argument with Rabbi Elazar Rabbi Shimon. Rabbi Elazar Rabbi Shimon said avon nidarim, and he said bitul Torah. But now, then he changed his mind, and he said either also or instead, he said it's avon nidarim. Pliki bar Rabbi Chia bar Abba Rabbi Yossi. So again, we're going to have another machloket. Chad amar ba'avon mezuzah, v'chad amar ba'avon bitul Torah. So like I said, we carry one over from the previous, which is bitul Torah, and a different one said avon mezuzah. So Lamanda amar ba'avon mezuzah mikra nidrash lefanav v'lo lefnei panav. Where do you get this? So this is from Kriyat Shema, right? I brought these on the sheet. If you look at the sheet, or you know them in your head, it says that's limud Torah. The next pasuk is you should write them on your mezuzah. And the next pasuk is you should have long life, you and your sons. So what do they say? If you don't do these things, you won't have long life. So which things are they? So if you say it's avon mezuzah, you say we darshan this pasuk a pasuk can be darshan to the pasuk, the previous pasuk, but not two psukim. So therefore, it goes to the next door pasuk, which is mezuzah. Ulaman damar v'avon bitul Torah, mikan nidrash lefanav v'lifnei panav. You can actually take a pasuk and go two psukim backwards, and therefore it goes to avon Torah. Okay. Pligi ba Rabbi Meir v'Rabbi Yehuda. Chad amar ba'avon mezuzah, v'chad amar ba'avon tzitzit. So now we're carrying over avon mezuzah, and now we're adding avon tzitzit. Bishlam alaman damar ba'avon mezuzah. Dichtiv uchtav tama mezuzah beitecha. So mezuzah we already explained. Uchtiv batrei l'man yiboyim achem b'mei b'nechem. Ela l'aman damar ba'avon tzitzit my time. So amar Rav Kahana v'itema Sheila Mary. Dichtiv gam b'nafecha. Knafecha are a reference to your corners, the corners of your garments. Nimtseu dam nefashot evyonim nikin. Right? On the corners of your clothes, you found, this is a pasuk from Yechezkel, can be found blood of the souls of the young ones. Okay, the ones who are pure, okay, who haven't sinned. So there you have it, the tzitzit could cause the avon of the children. You can actually learn that also from the psukim there. What does that mean, lo b'machteret mitzatim? Shasuk tachim k'machteret. A machteret apparently doesn't need mezuzah, and they made their doors like their basements, okay, where they didn't put mezuzahs on their doors. Amar Rish Lakish. Okay, now we're going to start with the positives, okay? If we didn't love the negatives, so now at least we have some positives. Kol hazehir b'tzitzit zochem m'shamshim bo shnei alafim v'shmona me'ot avadim. Okay, you'll have 2,800 servants. Shneimar, kol amar Hashem tzvaot, bayamim hahema, asher yachziku asara anashim mikol lashonot hagoyim. 10 people will have from all the lashonot of the goyim. V'yachziku bekanaf ish Yehudi lemor nelchaim chem. Okay, in other words, all the nations of the earth are going to cling to your corners of your clothes. So what do they say here? 10 people, all the lashonot, there's 70 nations, so that gets you up to 700. 700 times the four corners, that gets you up to 2,800. So from there, they do the math, and they get to, you'll have 2,800 people working for you. Siman. Okay, now we have a siman for the next sugyot. Shna, chala, truma, nigzelet, dina. Shvua, shipichuta, giluya, v'navluta. Tan. Rabbi Nechemia Omer, ba'avon sinat chinam, it's actually sna, not shna, ba'avon sinat chinam miriva rabba betoch beito shel adam. V'ishtom apel nefalim, ubanav ubnotav shel adam meitim kshehem ktanim. Okay, baseless hatred. This is a big one, right? That's what causes fighting between the household, the woman miscarries, the children die young. Okay, this basically, and maybe this connects with the whole idea of shalom bayit, and the importance of halakat haner, because peace in the house, right? When things aren't good in the house, it leads to all sorts of other things happening. Rabbi Lazar, Rabbi Yehuda Omer, ba'avon chala ein bracha b'mechunas. If you don't do chala, well, then you're not going to have a blessing in your produce. Ume'era mishtalacha b'sharim, and cursed will go to the sharim. The sharim are the prices. There will be price fluctuation, which will be against you. V'zorim zra'im v'acherim ochlim. You'll plant things and other people will eat what you planted. Shenema, af ani aseh zot lachem, v'kadeti alechem behala, et hashachefet et hakadachat, michlot enayim u'medivot nefesh, uzratem larik zarachem, v'achalu oivechem. Okay, these are all these things that are going to happen to you that'll destroy your crops, and other people will eat your the enemies will come, they'll eat your stuff. Where do we get that this has to do with ba'avon chala? Al tikre behala, ela bechala. Okay, this is, by the way, in the curses in Vayikra, of all the things that are going to happen. So they say, don't read it as behala, read it as bechala, because of chala. Ve'im notnim, and here's the flip, if you give chala, mitbarchim, you'll be blessed. Shenema, bereshit arisotechem titnu lakohen laniach bracha el beitecha. In order to bring blessing into your house, right, if you give to them, God will bless your house with more. Right, and the reason they had to say that was because people didn't want to give, right? This is why people say, oh, if you work, if you don't work on Shabbat, you'll get extra, right? You'll get a blessing that your business will produce more, right? It's a way of encouraging people not to be fearful of, oh, I have to give away, I'm going to end up with less, or I have to work one day less, I'll make less money. It was a way they said, oh no, you'll get it in some other way. Again, not that these are direct, but this was ways of encouraging people. If you don't give Trumot Masrot, again, you're going to get hit where it hurts you. No rain, right? Connecting to, you won't have produce. Right? The prices are going to be very high and you won't have money. And people are going to be struggling for parnasa, right? They won't be able to support themselves. Okay, because right, it will be dry and the heat and in the heat, and it will be stolen it'll be dry in the heat days, and it'll be meeting in the summer months, and it'll be stolen in the days of the cold, because they sinned. So my mashma, how do we get to this? From that there won't be rain or anything. Tana de Rabbi Yishmael b'shvil dvarim, and how does we know this has to do with Trumot Masrot? B'shvil dvarim shetziviti etchem b'yemot hachama v'lo asitem, starts off tziyah gam chom, things you did in the summer months, which is you didn't take the Trumot Masrot when you harvested. Yigzalu mikem yimei sheled, you're going to get it given back to you in the winter months, meaning you won't end up with rain. But if you do give mitbarchim, how do we know this? This was actually from last week's Haftorah, from Shabbat Gadol. Heviu et kol ha'maser, pasuk from Malachi, el beit ha'otzar, bring all the maser to the beit ha'otzar, v'hi teref bebeiti, u'b'chanuni gam bezot, amar Hashem tzvaot, im lo atach lachem et arubot hashamayim, barikoti lachem bracha abelidai. I will spill upon you bracha, plentiful bracha that will never stop. What does it mean, abelidai? My abelidai, amarami barav, right? There's also a famous song. Amarami bar, must be bar chama amarav, I'm assuming. Yeah. Amarami bar chama amarav, ad sheyivlu siftotecha milomar dai. You'll have so much that your mouth will stop, will keep saying die, 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 right? Basically, you'll have so much. Bavon gezel hagovayole. If you steal, then the grasshoppers will come and eat your stuff. Barav hoveh, and there'll be famine. Okay, the worst of all, right? People will start eating their children. As opposed to before, God was punishing the children. Here, the parents themselves are going to eat their children. Okay, and they learn from here that that this is, right, how to get this. This is, I don't remember how this pasuk connects. Okay, so they say the women are like the parot that are fat, that are in the Bashan, that are in Har Shomron, that ha'ushkot dalim v'arotzit. These are they hit the evyonim, that they say to their owners, Haviu v'nishtet. In other words, they say, why are they fat? Because they're stealing things. Okay, so those who are stealing, they're going to end up eating their children. Okay, we'll stop here on this very unpleasant thought. Someone actually pointed out, I misread something yesterday, just a very small thing. In the story of Hillel and Shammai with the converts, at the end of the story, I said that the three of them, I said it was Hillel, Shammai, and the convert. It was actually the three converts, it was the three converts got together and said about Hillel and about Shammai. I had said it a little differently, so I'll correct that. And like I said, worthy to listen to the Shir and Chamutal's blog if your Hebrew's good. It's very interesting when they talk about this from kind of perspective. I tried to give it some perspective also, and I recommend also listening to the Avon Tzitzit, the Gethet on the Tosfot there, where also they talk about not just the fear of doing mitzvot, but doing mitzvot also with excitement and kind of taking on mitzvot. So, and they talk about the Tosfot there. So, good reading or listening, and with that, like I said, not such an easy daf today. Tomorrow we have a really good story, of very famous stories in tomorrow's daf. So I know it's our Pesach, everyone's going to be busy, but listen to tomorrow's daf. It's worth it. Okay.